OK, well, let's move on to the next paper now. This is Friday's Telegraph. Still on immigration. Leo?
Yes, this is closer to home. So there's cabinet pressure on Sunak to slash migration. So there are demands for a cap on foreign NHS and care worker visas as numbers hit record highs. We've heard that there are 745,000 net migration.
Yeah.
But obviously, a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of Britons, leave. I'm not surprised. I feel like joining them. But a lot of people leave. So the gross migration in a year is 1.2 million, which is just, I mean, that's mind-blowing. You can't have a 2% of the population just like coming in and having that sort of...
Well, it's that sort of...
2 years, isn't it?
It's 2 years, but it is still... It's the pace of it. I mean, to go back to Sweden, you know, in Malmo at the moment, apparently more than 50% of the people who live in Malmo were not born in Sweden. Now, I don't think any country can really cope with that extent of migration so quickly unless there is a very serious attempt to assimilate.
Yeah, well, what we're talking about here, someone says it's for 2 years it's equivalent of Birmingham or something.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's up higher than it was. It's up to 745,000 this year. It's a record high, but those figures that's legal migration, and it's driven by two things, which are students, which we need because they subsidise our universities, and by healthcare workers and social workers in terms of like helping people at old people's homes.
Right, so there should be more nuance, you're saying, when we look at who is exactly included.
Exactly. In this particular case, what's driving up, those are the two biggest figures that are driving up.
A lot of student visas are given to people as a way of gaming the system. I did it when I went and lived in Canada. I applied for a student visa and then went and worked.
I'm not saying there aren't loopholes, but the fact is that they do subsidise.
Can I ask you both then, what about Suella Braverman has basically hit out at Sunak over these figures. Now, she suggested, she said she had proposed an annual cap on migration. She said we could raise the minimum salary that foreign workers must earn, prevent foreign students from remaining after their courses end. So rather than not allowing them in, prevent them from retaining their citizenship afterwards, and a cap on health and social care visas. Does this not seem like a reasonable...
Well, she's talking about turning up to £45,000 a year, the income that you would need. Which is, I think, in the top 10% of earners and stuff, which means, of course, they pay more taxes.
Yes.
So that's as Leo said, it's about who's coming over. I don't think we're going to... If we've got 750,000 multi-millionaires coming over who aren't jihadis...
people aren't going to complain about that.
It's also about rebalancing the economy. So Suella's plans would mean there'd be more middle-class immigrants coming over, so they wouldn't be sort of undercutting the labour market and putting people...
Well, they have to do something, because these numbers are, I think, whether you're on the left or the right or whatever, these numbers are just unsustainable. You know, so even Labour are saying they're going to have to deal with this.
But what Leo says about undercutting the labour market, that at the moment the minimum wage that you need to come in is about 25,000. Yeah. It's lower than the sort of 34,000 that's the average income for this country. The reason why it's lower is because we want people to come over and pay them less, to take care of our grandparents, to pay them less money.
45 would exclude a lot. 45,000 would exclude a lot of those people.
And the fact is, if we're not willing to wipe the bottoms of our elderly ourselves...
But we need to rebalance the economy so that becomes a better paid job.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying that's the situation why it is. It means that we would have to pay more to house our elderly and whatnot. We have to pay for that money to come from somewhere.
They can work it out themselves.